Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about the eastern skunk cabbage, Symplocarpus foetidus, from the family Araceae, much like jack-in-the-pulpits and philodendrons. And these guys are the first flower in spring every year in the East Coast. I'm actually kind of surprised that they're still flowering now because this is in April, and they usually open around the last week of February, the first week of March. So, assuming this was back then, these leaves here wouldn't have popped up yet, and this flower would be by itself, surrounded by a ring of snow that it managed to burrow through. So, as you can see, typical of the aroid family, they have a spathe here with a spadix inside. The spadix contains the flowers. The spathe is a protective, well, it's both protection and serves as a signal, letting pollinators know that it's there. This one here is a nice color balance of purple and green, but I've seen them range everywhere from almost entirely green to almost entirely purple, and I've seen them range anywhere from about half this size to 3 times this size. So the first thing about these plants to clear up is that there are 2 kinds of skunk cabbage in the United States, and they're not that closely related. There's the eastern one, which, as I mentioned, is the scientific name Symplocarpus foetidus, and then there's the western one, which is Lycaechiton americanus. That flower would be yellow, both spathe and spadix, and that flower, unlike this one here, would be smelling like a skunk. These ones, the inflorescence does not smell like skunk. The leaves smell like skunk. If I were to accidentally break them, it would smell quite bad. The flower, or the inflorescence rather, also smells pretty bad, but it smells bad in a completely different way. It looks kind of meat-like if you haven't really gotten a good look at it, and it also smells kind of meat-like. It's not having that scent anymore because it's been open for several weeks already, but in the very early spring, late winter, it is nasty around here. Absolutely horrific. There's dozens of these inflorescents scattered about, so it can get pretty bad. Oh, so some wood ducks just went by, I think, or some other ducks. I don't really do birds that well yet. But regardless, skunk cabbages, they smell like rotting meat to attract flies, but their actual offering is significantly more interesting than that. While they have some deception for pollinators, they are also the most thermogenic or heat-creating plant there is. So inside this spathe here, it would be a temperature of about 70 degrees Fahrenheit, no matter how cold it is outside, even in the middle of February, and that's what allows them to melt their way through the snow and get a head start on everything else. They are able to do this because plant mitochondria has a very inefficient pathway they can activate that results in a lot more heat being produced when they burn sugar than what we do. The skunk cabbage also, so underground here there would be a corm, which is a fattened stem storing carbohydrates, and skunk cabbage would be a good source of food for most animals, and they are indeed, but they do have a little method of trickery to get around this, where the roots of a skunk cabbage, when they dry up for the winter to go dormant, get short. And as these roots shorten, it takes the corm and it pushes it further down into the ground. So a skunk cabbage of significant size, which can vary quite a bit, they usually get about 2 feet tall, but I've seen some about 4 feet, while that was admittedly quite unusual. But anyway, a skunk cabbage of significant size and age needs to be dug for a considerable amount of time in order to actually get them out of the ground, because they're so far under. I can't give you an exact figure myself because I haven't personally done it, but it works well enough to keep them from getting eaten by animals in the middle of winter. Of course, they also have oxalate crystals in them that would be most uncomfortable to eat, but if you're desperate enough, you'll go past that. Another thing about the skunk cabbages is that while these ones, the eastern skunk cabbage, heats up, the western skunk cabbage does not do that. So that's a common misconception. Although the western skunk cabbage does get a lot taller, so, pros and cons. These are found in swampy areas. In this case, pine swamp, but not always. I've seen them on riverbanks and wet meadows and so on and so forth. They're not that picky. They're actually one of the more common swamp plants around here. A lot of their family actually produces heat. The Titan arum is famous for it too, and some others in that genus. So, zooming in, we can get a look inside the spathe at the spadix. This is the skunk cabbage's flowers, and the genus name Symplocarpus refers to their fruit structure. Normally, each one of these, or normally for an arum, each one of these flowers would produce its own separate fruit. For a skunk cabbage, however, the entire spadix turns into a large fruit, which can be mistaken for some kind of mushroom if you're not knowing what you're looking at. They're about the size of a baseball, I want to say. Maybe a little bit bigger than that, but not quite as large as a softball. So that is all to say about skunk cabbages. All that I can think off the top of my head, because I'm in the middle of a swamp. I don't exactly have my notes on me. But yeah, over here you can see one that's further along the point of awakening, with a slightly more purple inflorescence. This one's much more purple, and doesn't have any, well, I guess it does have leaves, but they're still rather inconspicuous. Across the stream, over there, that one has a very large, very purple inflorescence. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry, I lied about the skunk cabbages being the last thing I was going to do, because as I was walking back, I saw these guys next to them. Now, you may think that they're some kind of conifer, but if you take note, when they grow, they bifurcate or split in two perfectly along their stems. There isn't a main branch. And that is a telltale sign of a kind of seedless plant, similar to ferns, called a lycophyte. And I think that would be a Lycopodaceae. And these guys are a rather common swamp plant too. Their scientific name is Huperzia lucidula, I believe, the shining club moss, quite reflective. And so they're closest to ferns. They're easily distinguished by their perfect branching. They're quite common in swamps. So around here there are many of them. And I don't have that much to say about them because, admittedly, my education on the fern allies is lacking. I hate to admit that, but I do need to learn a lot more. But while we're here, we can check the other skunk cabbage I found, a very purple one. And I cannot believe I'm about to do this on camera. It's disgusting, but if I stick my hand in there, or stick my thumb in there, I can feel that it is actually quite warm. And now I have to go wash my hands because they smell in a way that will attract vultures. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed our special guest, the Huperzia lucidula. And I hope this provided some appreciation to a couple of plants that are often overlooked. The crocus is not the first flower around here, nor is the snowdrop. It is the skunk cabbage. Thank you and have a good day.